Next, we'll have a presentation on Sutter County homeless policy statement. Presentation will be by Mr. Ed Smith.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes on your agenda this evening. Nice to see some of you. I am Ed Smith. I am an interim employee of the County of Sutter at the moment, having retired there some years ago. I'm here this evening to speak with you about homeless programs. I know that you're no stranger to that. I know that the City of Yuba City puts about $85,000 a year into our community for various homeless services, for which the community is grateful. We very much appreciate it. What I have for you this evening is a policy statement that we're encouraging local governmental organizations, nonprofit organizations, churches, and others to begin to support. The goal here is to begin to focus our efforts a little better on what we're doing with our homeless population. The homeless population exists here, and numbers are squishy, but there are probably 1,000 people sleeping outside tonight. There are another 500 or 600 certainly who are precariously housed. And to the extent that we can jointly focus a little better on those individuals, we might do better for our community. And we're asking that some of the matters of this policy be considered by you. We're asking for your support of it. I would tell you that the Sutter County Board of Supervisors supported it in late January. The Yuba County Board will consider it in next week. And I have no idea where the city of Marysville is, but I haven't asked them. This policy is not restrictive. It doesn't say to an organization, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. It's a goal. The goal is to try to have some reduction of duplication of service. It is to try to focus on specific things. And if you look at some of the bullet points, we recognize that homelessness is a combination of many things. There's a big difference between vagrancy and homelessness. There is a apparent growth of our homeless population. And so we're saying, let's target first of all children, women with children, and families, because they are the most likely to fall next into homelessness. So it's not only a humane question, but it's if we can prevent some growth, we got to start there. We recognize that there are lots of individuals who want nothing to do with us, and that's fine. You know, we're not going to solve a problem for somebody who's lived outside for 20 years. It's just not going to fall into our resource bank to be able to do that with any degree of big success. We are suggesting that all communities need some policies about the community. It's impossible to have a community in which you simply say people can camp anywhere they want and do anything they want to do. That doesn't work very well. I was reading in the San Francisco paper this weekend that they put over $200 million into their homeless program. And that's a lot of money in any given year, probably more than you guys have to contribute to the process. But we're asking for some support in a voluntary alliance of people and organizations to do work with the homeless. We're trying to put together from our side, from the county side, a small team of people who will go out and encounter those folks that you see homeless, need help, so forth, and find out who they are. Assuming they'll talk to us, maybe some of them we can be of some assistance to. Maybe there are some benefited programs that we can connect them to. We're talking with folks at Hands of Hope about identify your 5 or 6 most difficult clients. Maybe we can help with that. It's an organized effort to try to do things better. And we're asking you to join into this soft alliance of groups to do that and hopefully lead to better things for our community. You know, I'd be foolish if I tried to say to you, we'll solve this problem in our lifetime. This is a very complex, very expensive social, economic, political problem that I don't have faith that we're going to solve, you know, so there are no homeless in our community. I think we can reduce the numbers. I think we can provide services to those who would most benefit from it. And I think we will find a number of people who will tell us to just go whistle. And for those folks, that's the way it is. We just don't have the resources to continue to contribute to whatever it is they want to do. So I would ask you if you would give consideration to supporting this concept and this idea and this very soft policy statement that can be changed at any time by any of the parties that want to do it. And we do appreciate all the things that you already do. I will mention that there is a homeless cleanup project coming up at the end of this month, 27th, down at by Whitaker Hall at that part of the River Bottoms area. And lots of organizations will be there contributing, and grateful to Levy District Number 1 for the things they're contributing, and to Recology and all of the others, and hopefully we can get some of the trash out of there and so forth. And many of the clients that live there are our most active helpers in doing that. So thank you very much for your time, and would request that you consider this and perhaps be able to support it.
Through the mayor.
Right.
Ed Smith, it's good to see you back active like this in the community. Your history here has been fantastic, dealing especially with women and children. There's a legacy here for you, and we appreciate that. What has your been inclusion in your involvement with the actual current homeless consortium and what they are doing? Have you attended any of their meetings to discuss any of this with them?
Absolutely, and I've attended 3 or 4 of their meetings. Actually, that was probably a mistake because I'm chairing the cleanup on the 27th, and that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been attending. Certainly met with the folks from Hands of Hope and the Salvation Army and our other natural partners. Haven't gotten together with all of them yet, and hope to do that before my short tenure here is completed. But I'm looking at this as the beginning of the pathway, you know, for us to be able to be a little more organized, a little more on target to some of the things we need to do, and give an opportunity for further discussion.
I haven't been able to attend the last few meetings, but the last 4 to 5 years, I've actually been personally involved in the homeless consortium and worked with them while I was at the county. We did not contribute money at the time, but we had all the resources, the employees that would attend from health and mental health, and as you know, they continue to do so. And 5 years ago, I can tell you it was not organized in any way, shape, or form. And what we have now is, while a lot of work still needs to happen, they're doing so much better. We have had cleanups in the past. Just about every year we try to have one in the river bottoms. And one of the main things I want people to realize is that this community does a great job at, when they identify women and children at risk out there, as soon as they find out, there's a whole bunch of groups that get together and try to take care of them immediately. One of the groups that falls kind of by the wayside sometimes is at-risk teens in their out of high school and always in their early 20s. That is one group that is sometimes very difficult to serve because, you know, you're out of school. You don't want people to know that you're hurting and things like that. Well, tough times, you know, you have to, you know, say, I need help. And just giving them the message that we're not going to be judgmental in any way. We're there to help you get through, you know, and get established. And I just had a report from one of the very consistent NGO, non-government agencies that's helping out in the community, that the largest growing group is mature adults, 55 age and older, that are being at risk and not being able to. It's because of the jobs are no longer available. They're being not rehired. Their skill sets are different. It's gone beyond them. And that's the largest group that they're dealing with now is 55 and older. And so, you know, this has been something that's been close to me for many, many years, is homeless. And precariously housed is also one. Couch surfing, that's also considered homeless. You know, friends staying at your house because they have no place to live. And that's mostly where the older teens get missed in the young 20s, is that. So thank you for getting involved to solidify this even better than what we have. It's appreciated. And I'm going to try to make it back to those meetings in the Tuesday mornings.
I'll look forward to seeing you on the 27th. I think I have some gloves that'll help fit you.
I will be out of town on the
Oh, yeah.
27th.
Mr. Dukes.
Through the mayor.
Family responsibilities.
Thank you, Ed, for your report. I was happy to hear you distinguish the difference between homeless and vagrants because I think so many times we use the term homeless, and as you know, homeless encompasses basically three different groups, which is people who are down on their luck and maybe they've lost their job, they lost their home, and they would like to become productive members of society once again. And that's where we have the services to help those people do that. Certainly the mental illness group, which the county needs to work harder on that element. And then, as you mentioned, the vagrants who, that's the lifestyle that they choose. At the city, we have enacted a no camping ordinance on public or private lands. We've enacted a no panhandling ordinance in the city. Does the county have plans to implement those same ordinances?
I've heard them discussed, but I'm not, I know that they were speaking with county council about some of those things, but I'm not in a position to tell you specifically what they're doing with that.
Well, and I think that that's something that they need to take a look at because the property down along the river is county-owned land, and so people look at it and say, well, why isn't the city doing something about it? It's not our jurisdiction. And so we need that continuity of ordinances to be able to enforce that. If I was a business and I was putting into the river some of the things that are being put into the river when they use them as restrooms and showers and all of that, I would be put out of business and I would be fined by DWR for what I'm putting into the river, but yet we allow that to happen all the time. And you have these cleanups annually, and I applaud that. However, these people don't care. They're going to create another dump next year because that's the way they live. They don't care about our community. And so the vagrants in this community, in my opinion, are not welcome. The other people, I fully support the programs to help them. But we need to get tough on the vagrants and say, we don't want you as a part of our community because you're a parasite on our community and it affects the quality of life for everybody who lives here. Thank you.
To the mayor, Ed, I just want to say, great to see you. Thank you for things that you're doing, especially in our community. For those of you that don't know Mr. Ed Smith, he's retired, worked for Sutter County Mental Health, and I don't think you're probably a day that you're not retired. So this is something that's a passion, and I'm glad that somebody's doing it, and might as well be you. So
Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you. Good job.
Thanks, guys.
Through the mayor. Ed, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
I saw you a couple of months ago, and it was a great meeting, and we had spoke of doing programs like this. I'm very happy to see that you've come forth to work on a collaboration. I think with collaboration, it's a great way to reduce the repetitiveness of resources, the duplication of resources, to become more effective. To use our resources and our funding in a pathway to provide people who are homeless, truly homeless, the children, the families, giving them the avenues and providing them the avenues to become whole again. And that includes our mental health, that includes their groceries, their foods, a roof over their head, building if we have to create something so that they feel whole and kids go to school more vibrant, more energized, so that they become successful in our society as they become older and they can participate and maybe turn around and do that for another family. So I thank you for your coming forth with this policy.
Well,
and,
you're most welcome.
hoping-
It's just the beginning of the effort.
Absolutely.
There are years to come. There are many, many, many good people in this community that are putting forth all kinds of effort.
Absolutely.
And we will find those people who want to participate in our community, who can deal with their illness or their circumstances and do better with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for coming
You're
forward
most
today.
welcome. Thank you.
And Ed, before we let you go, listening to some of the public criticism that has come out in recent, as this is presented to the supervisors, I will tell you that the most critical part of this is the language that looks at the safety net aspect. When we know and identify folks that are falling into a possible homeless condition, that's the time when they're most vulnerable, and we can reach out to them and get a safety net under these folks and prop them up, get them into programs and get them back on their feet. That probably will be the most successful component to this. The other components are going to be iffy. And I think that you address as this statement moves forward and evolves over time is looking at how do we minimize the numbers. This isn't about growing programs. This is about shrinking programs. This is about the consolidation of programs in which we bring the resources in and we're able to minimize the impact of homelessness on our community. We will probably not rid our community of the vagrancy because that has been existent for hundreds of years. But with that, thank you very, very much for your diligent work on this, and we will certainly review this in the near future.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just as a point of clarification, the agenda includes this as a presentation item, which has been done this evening. The staff report actually has a recommendation to adopt it. We can bring that back just as a point of clarification at a future meeting for formal adoption.
I think at a future date would be best, so we can go through the document itself and present it for adoption.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
While she's going up, I'd like to just make a comment through the mayor. The $85,000 that is being mentioned that city's already doing is through community development block grants, Hand Up Ministry, Bridges to Housing, Central Valley Homeless Veterans, Hands of Hope, Society for St. Vincent de Paul, Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium, which is the umbrella that kind of tries to knit them, the loose groups together, and then the Salvation Army FSS recovery program. Those are where most of the funding does go, or officially. So there are the NGOs, our non-government agencies that are in our community. These are the primary ones that we contribute to already. So want to make sure the students knew that actually have names and identification of those. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming forward. If you can provide your name and
My name is Ann Fletcher, and at this moment I'm representing Bridges to Housing. And thank you for your grant donation. I read with great interest the Sutter County Area Homeless Policy Statement. As I was reading, something really caught my eye. And it is under the homeless will not be allowed to reside in public parks, along riverbanks, or other secluded areas of the community. My issue is with the riverbanks. As you know, there is a population that has lived there, some for 20 years. My question to Ed and to the council members is, if you adopt this policy, where and how are you going to relocate those that live in the river bottoms?
And I'll answer that on behalf of the council in general. First, the area of the river bottoms that we're talking about is not within the city of Yuba City. That is an area that is county land. It is patrolled by the county, and so we don't have jurisdiction over that. But it's a general sense that living within the river bottom area within the levees is a dangerous and risky location given rising waters, issues that occur within there, and certainly the pollution factors that happen on a daily basis. There are no restrooms. There are no garbage services that go down there. Most of the items are dispensed within the river, and that is not the appropriate thing to do with our waterways in our community. To answer, how do we get there? What do we provide for them? A location? It has to be outside of that. We cannot allow them to move into our parklands, onto private property, unless you invite them onto the private property and are providing the proper sanitary resources for those individuals. Will it be the decision of the people in Sutter County to possibly provide at some point facilities for the homeless, that's certainly a decision to be made by the greater population and how much money would be spent to be able to provide that. Relocation monies are oftentimes utilized to get people back to their original homes. In our area, we experience individuals come from many areas of the United States, Canada, and even Mexico to live in our community. Why? There's resources here. They know that. They speak of those resources throughout their network, and they come here and set up shop. That happens in every community.
Well, you can understand my concern because we have helped single women who have been living at the river bottoms, and they have told stories about living there, but still they have nowhere else to go. So that's my concern.
And I think we all understand the complexity of that on families, on children, and certainly on women. And I think we need to move forward with plans through a policy that allows for the consolidation of services, that uses the money probably on a more efficient basis to provide services, whether it be interim housing, whether it be counseling services, what it might look like over a duration of time to be able to provide for the needs of those that are truly homeless.
Well, I appreciate very much you allowing me to speak. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you very much for your interest. Anyone else wish to speak to this? Just provide us with your name.
Oh, my name is Ivy Condi. I'm a student at RVHS. I was wondering if the homeless back there, or vagrants, as you might say, have you been down to the area toward the river?
Many of us frequent, not for living conditions, but out of empathy and also trying to develop resources. We're down there. We know what the conditions are. Again, it's not within the jurisdiction of Yuba City, but because it's on our boundary and the inflow, outflow of those individuals coming into the city on the south end of the town certainly impact neighborhoods. We look to do whatever we can to work in concert with the supervisors to come up with solutions for that area.
I was addressing how they say that, like, they have, a lot of waste going down there, and a lot of, people taking showers and going to the bathroom, but I believe that they don't really have a choice and otherwise. And I believe that if we have like $80,000, $85,000, that they should have a more like a trash person coming in and out, or just something that would help the water flow. I mean, like the waste going through this. And it, as she said, they've been there for 20 years, which means that this has always been a problem for about 20 years, and it's barely getting addressed now. That's my issue.
It's been addressed over that period of time. 20 years ago, roughly 20 years ago, there were small camps in that area right near what is considered to be Helpkins Lagoon. There have been numerous crimes. There have been murders. There have been things that take place down there that are unmentionable in public, unless you're in a criminal trial seeing what happens, and has happened in the past. To continue to promote that, or to go when the water rises and individuals are so intoxicated that they don't know to get out, and yet they drowned because they can't find their way to safety as the water rises, which has happened on more than one occasion within the city of Yuba City. That's shame on us as society. Are there resources? Can they go and take a shower some other place? You betcha. There's a place called Hands of Hope. It's on Spiva Avenue. They can go there daily and take showers and get laundry done. There are people lined up at that facility to be able to do that. There are vehicles that come in with loads of laundry to come in and take care of their needs. There's clean clothes that are provided for them through many different resources within our community. Consolidation of services would mean that they don't have to float about the community, that they can go to one location and possibly get all of those resources more centralized to where they're staying at. And I think that over a period of time is what we're talking about the needs are in our community. And how that's done takes a greater voice than just the city council or the supervisors. It takes the community, it takes the churches, it takes all of the service groups, it takes everyone being on one page of basically music to play the same tune so things can happen in a very constructive and productive manner to be able to provide for the services of the individuals that cannot provide for themselves.
Okay, I work with a group called Church of Life, and we go down there to give them, we donate blankets and jackets and all that type of stuff. Or are you suggesting that we stop doing that so they can stop the flow back there? Or, because...
That's not a suggestion that I would even begin to make. What I'm saying is that consolidation of services, not humane or empathetic gifts to individuals where you feel that it's cold, it's 35 degrees outside, living in the river bottoms is not a comfortable location, given that they're under tarps and very menial shelter. And this year has rained quite a bit. To give somebody the basic needs to survive, that's human nature that is reaching out of sheer kindness to be able to do that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the greater needs of the individuals to help move them in a process that provides a more safe and direct way for them to get into resources and for this community to be able to help provide those for those individuals.
Through the mayor, make a comment. What this policy would mean is that the collaboration of resources that we have right now, some of them are being taken care of and some of them aren't. To bring a policy together is to bring bigger, better, more efficient policy or resources so that we can take care of these individuals. It's a way to make it bigger and be able to provide more while we get folks established into their homes and bring them what they need so that they can get back on their feet. It's not to make the program so big and that it lasts forever, that we don't want people on the street. But this policy is a beginning to say, let's bring all of our silo resources that we have, put them together in one big bucket, and say, okay, where can we cut back because we have too much of this but nothing of this? How can we put it together and how can we piece it all together to make those people whole again so that they can get back on their feet, go to school, go to work, and be able to afford a living on their own? We just don't have the resources right now. People are doing everything, like you said, to give them jackets, socks, hats, your bathroom supplies just to get through. But those are bandage situations right now. We're putting a Band-Aid on a very big situation that we have. So this is a start to say, let's bring everything that we have into one big bucket, see what we have, see what we need, and how can we move forward. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you.
What you're doing is wonderful. Don't stop. We just need to do more of it and put it all in one piece.
Thank you for
Through the mayor.
clarifying with that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
One point I would like to make is that the river is a valuable asset to our community. But yet, I can't take my family down there, and there's people here in this audience who can't take their family down there to enjoy the river because of the people who live down there and choose to do what they do. I made the comment earlier that they're parasites on our community, and they truly are because they choose that lifestyle, many of them. Not all of them, and that's why I made the distinction of the three different groups that we need to deal with. But I think this plan that is before us tonight to put our resources together makes a lot of sense instead of everybody doing something separately, because we can probably do more by doing that. But we need to take back that asset of our community and make it available to all of our citizens, not just those people who choose to be vagrants, that they get to have the waterfront property in our community.
I was just saying that we should focus putting the people somewhere else that is more safe and more valuable than just clearing them out. That was the point I was saying.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to add 2 quick points to that. There are some people that no matter what you do, they don't want to move.
Yep.
That's exactly where they're going to stay. So it becomes an issue of homelessness, short-term versus long-term. There's some that you can graduate out of there and put them in housing, help find jobs, so forth, different stages of it. But no matter what you do, how much you try, how much money we as a community put out there, it's not going to be enough. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's where perhaps Ms. Fletcher's talking about the fact is you can go ahead and put an ordinance in, but some people are still going to live there. Just to the north of town, we had the Willow Park, created that nice downtown park. You could park your car down there. You can go on a bike ride. And we tried putting some portable restrooms down there. And I think we replaced 3-4 of them because people down there put them on fire. So it's just become a way of lifestyle for many of the folks. So
Thank you very much.
One more comment here. Having been involved with Ann and Chino's last many years, actually taken in quite a few myself into my own home and found permanent housing for them eventually. Some of them up to 1.5 years at our house. I know this personally, and it's taking responsibility sometimes and risk of the community and personally. Of course, good judgment, you have to be real careful, and other people need to know and kind of help you out with that. But then the consortium that we have now is a fantastic foundation. What the policy I think we're going to be working on here is trying to solidify an official policy dealing with these different groups that already are doing the homeless consortium, but actually putting it within the city government's policy to officially support this direction or whatever we end up putting into place. You participate yourself in helping the homeless and stuff. But there are people that choose I'm going to use the vagabond, the gypsy way of life, and that's what they're comfortable with. Then there are some that like the county, mental health issues that are out there, they're dealing with that. The housing authority also has housing for some of those mental patients that we have gotten off the street and helped out. A lot of funding has been utilized for these purposes. There just isn't enough money. There just isn't enough places to put them where they will feel comfortable without getting uncomfortable themselves and just want to just strike out and go somewhere else, or it's just their way of thinking. And having been dealing with this for many decades, I have a pretty good idea that there are so many different categories. You have to figure out who fits into what category, then deal with what they're doing and their needs are. So it's not as simple as just providing housing, providing this and that. You really have to work at it, and it's a continual process. It ebbs and flows. One kind of group comes in, and then they're taken care of, and another something else in the society happens, and you never can nail it down because it always changes. So, and this is just to codify an effort officially within the city policies of what's already going on in the community.
Thank you for letting me speak and clarifying with what I had to say.
And thank you very much for
Thank you for getting up there.
for having the courage
Yeah.
first, and second, River Valley High School is lucky to have a student like you that has care and concern and certainly is willing to speak up and ask the questions. So thank you very much.